Hi, my name is Leah Cross. I'm a national educator with John Paul Mitchell Systems. I'm here to present to you today one of the new beautiful cuts from the Liquid Motion collection. This particular cut is called the Eyen haircut, and it's by Julian. He really has created a nice sort of angled bob type-ish haircut, as you can see here on my pre-done mannequin. I love these haircuts. I find them to be very salon friendly. I have a lot of guests sitting in my chair that are looking for a little bit of an edgy style but still want to look very professional. So this is a very polished, very smooth looking haircut. I think you'll find some of the sectioning very interesting, and though it's very easy to follow along with, and I think that's a great thing. There's not a lot of fancy sectioning or cutting techniques. It really just allows you to create this style in a very quick and professional manner. So I hope you enjoy the Eyen haircut by Julian. I'm going to begin by doing a teardrop shape on the top of my mannequin's head, starting at the front hairline, and I'm going to go from recession line all the way back to the crown. So the front hairline is the largest part of my teardrop, and then the point of my teardrop is in the crown. As you can see here, that is our first bit of sectioning. Now in the second bit of sectioning here, it's pretty simple. You're going to just go and take a nice center back section. And then I'm going to clip my right side away from my left. And I'm going to begin this haircut on the left side of my mannequin. Here, let's get this up and out of the way. Okay. To begin, I'm going to start in the occipital, and I'm going to take a pretty good sized section in the occipital with a diagonal forward sectioning. And then I'm just going to clip the rest of this free hanging hair out of my way. Alright, so to begin in the back of this, I'm going to mimic or mirror my diagonal forward sectioning with my finger angle and my cutting line. So with a tiny bit of elevation away from that neckline, I'm going to, like I said, mirror that, and you can see that it just kind of swings off to the side. So that's a very nice first cut, and it just goes from short to long. My next section is going to follow that. It's going to be another diagonal forward sectioning. And with this, I'm going to start to elevate this a little bit higher. And this is going to create, of course, that little bit more of motion. Remember, we're in the Liquid Motion collection, so this is going to have a lot of character to it, lots of fun to it. As I work a little higher in the head, these sections are going to become a little bit more of a vertical diagonal as opposed to just a diagonal back. So working on a little bit of that famous pinwheel type feel, but adapting it from our color pinwheel to our hair cutting. Alright, and as I come forward, making sure that I'm taking sections that I can see my guide through. And you can see my elevation is quite a bit higher than where I started. So it's really starting to swing and move. And as I come to the high part of the head, I really am starting to be a lot more vertical. So I'm going to have more elevation. And of course, this is still going from short to long. So you get a really nice swing here. Okay. My last section comes right to the back of the ear. You can see that there. And from here, I'm going to move this up right into a nice higher elevation. Now, if you, once you get high enough, really your hand position is going to change, and you're going to start pulling this and cutting more over the top of your fingers rather than underneath. Still following that guide. All right. Now, as I work to the front section here, What's interesting about this is we're going to take this down, continue with that little bit of a diagonal, and then moving this up and back and elevating right to behind the ear. And everything in this front section is going to come right to this place. So this is now sort of my stationary guide for that front section. Now on a mannequin, you know, the density is a little bit finer, so I can take fairly large sections and still create the look that I want. When you are working with a real live client, you may find that you want to take smaller sections so you can really see through your sectioning. And what I love about this is we're really preserving that front length. My clients in the salon, a lot of them that look for this particular type of style, you know, they're looking to preserve that length. You know, they want something new, they want a different haircut, but they really don't want to go super short. So this is really going to preserve that front length and give them a little bit of more edge and fun in the back. All right, now moving to the opposite side, this right side. We're going to use the same method that we did on the left side for the right side. So taking down in the low occipital and creating that guide. Now here, your hand position is going to change. For the video, you know, I'm moving from side to side so you can really see what I'm doing. But when you go to do this on a client, you know, one side you're going to be more like this on the left, on the right you're going to be more like this. So keep that in mind. You want to make sure you're keeping the same tension from one side to the other, and that your elevation is fairly similar to the opposite side. So don't just come in here and sort of, you know, pick it up and pull it to wherever you want. Really pay attention to the side that you start on, how high you're pulling it up, how far you're elevating that hair, and really making sure that you're keeping that diagonal sectioning the same. So again, going from a diagonal forward sectioning to a little bit more of a vertical diagonal. Okay, and we're creating a little more length as we do this. And what's neat is I can really see it's matching up with the left side, so I can tell that I'm keeping my sectioning consistent as I go. Kind of an unofficial guide, that left side. Okay. Now I'm right to behind the ear. So here, this is my highest elevation. So I'm going to be cutting this, switching to moving on top of my fingers, cutting on top of my fingers as opposed to underneath. And now working on this right side. So just like the left side of the head, I'm now going to pull everything to back behind the ear, and I'm going to follow this as my guideline. And again, make sure you can see that guide through your section. I'll mention again, you know, mannequin hair is very different than a human head, so I can take about inch to inch and a half size sections on my mannequin. Typically on a human head, I will definitely take smaller ones. Half inch to an inch size sections is usually best for this type of haircut. Okay, and my last section on the front. So all right to behind the ear and pretty high elevation. And you can see that's really swinging forward nice. Okay, so moving to the back, or rather the top, I'm going to take this teardrop down. And what's interesting about this is I'm going to begin this, instead of doing a straight parting or a vertical parting or a horizontal parting, I'm going to take a little bit of an off-center parting. And so this, I'm going to take the shortest piece of my back crown section, and that's going to count as my guide. So you can see this. I'm going to cut from short to long, And I'm really going to over direct this back. Of course, the more I over direct, the more length I preserve in the front of the head. And that's my first section. And then continuing in that manner, matching that up, and continuing to cut from short to long across the top teardrop. Really, I find I can work through this haircut fairly quickly, and I get that beautiful classic, more angled bob result. Back in hair school, we used to try to draw that line with our scissors from front to back first and then try to match it up. And this is such a great way to make sure that both your sides are even and consistent, because no one ever cuts the same from right to left, so this is perfect. Okay, so that's my front. And just to pull this down so you can see her, she's got that beautiful angle going on. All right, so let's dry her, and then you can really see the shape of this haircut. All right, so I'm gonna put a little Awapui Wild Ginger Hydro Mist Blowout Spray into her hair before I blow dry. This is an amplifier. It's very lightweight, so I love this for getting a little bit of volume in there, nothing too overdone, and it's also a really nice moisture product, so it's going to give me a beautiful, sultry blow dry. And I'm going to begin this blow dry by just doing a little bit of a flat wrap, and then I'm going to get a little more detailed with my round brush. So taking my 413 sculpting brush from Paul Mitchell and my Neuro Grip, I'm going to do that flat wrap. So working with the shape of the head, I'm just going to brush this forward and just really allow this to lay across the shape of the head, using that kind of as a board for my nozzle. So I'm not burning, I'm not going this way, I'm going in this direction. So I'm never burning the scalp, always creating a beautiful style. And then you can come back in the opposite direction and really dry both sides of the hair. That Hydro Mist Blowout Spray really does soften the hair too. So it's going to give me a really fantastic hydrated blow dry, so she feels like she's got natural hair with a little bit more control in it. So you can see working back and forth, this really combats a lot of those cowlicks too. So if you've got someone who's got a giant whorl in the back or cowlicks across the front of the face, this type of flat wrap really does help to combat that. And teaching your client to blow dry in that manner is like a lifesaver for them. And then leaving a little bit too on your longer legs to just get that mostly dry. Most of the way dry. I just want to make sure I point that out. I'm not getting it all the way dry because I'm going to finish with my Express Ion Round Extra Large and give her a little bit more shape in the front of her hair, and especially on her longer length. So particularly for a bob or a cut like the Eyen cut, you are really trying to get that roundness and that smoothness and really polish. So instead of doing this with your blow dry, this is really going to help you smooth as you go, create a lot less work for you, working smarter, not harder for your style, and that beautiful cut that you just created for your client.